Good morning to all. In paper 6, we are going to complete unit 3, that is about colorimetry and spectrophotometry. Before studying that colorimetry and spectrophotometry, first you need to know the basics of this particular table. See, the quantitative estimations can be done in two ways. One is chemical methods and physical methods. As far as your knowledge, already you did these experiments, that is volumetric analysis and gravimetric analysis in your previous semesters. Now coming to these physical methods, we can estimate a compound quantitatively by using chromatographic techniques or spectroscopic techniques. Under chromatographic techniques, already we studied HPLC, IEC as well as GLC. Now coming to the spectroscopic methods, there are two methods which are highly useful for us to estimate a compound quantitatively. That is UV visible spectroscopy and IR spectroscopy. So now we need to put concentration upon these two topics, which are nothing but your syllabus of third unit. Now, before going into the depth of this topic, first you need to know what is meant by electromagnetic radiations. Now see, this is the range of electromagnetic radiations, and we know the radiations which are coming from the sun are divided into different categories depending upon their wavelength or depending upon their frequency. So, as we are moving from gamma rays to this microwave rays, the wavelength is increases. So, the first category is gamma rays, X-rays, UV, and you no need to read these two as separate one. In our syllabus, these two completely comes under UV light, visible, IR, and this total it is IR, microwaves. So, the light radiations which are coming from the sun have the properties of both electric as well as magnetic. So, these are divided into different categories depending upon their wavelengths as well as their in terms of frequency. Right. So, now first what is the first topic in our syllabus is, first we need to put focus upon UV visible spectroscopy, means by passing UV radiations or visible radiations upon a compound, we are going to estimate how much of quantity is present. So, what is the source for this UV radiations? Which light helps us to send UV radiations, which is nothing but deuterium lamp. For visible radiations given by the metal, that is tungsten filament. So, you need to know tungsten filament releases the light radiations which are in visible range, that is 400 to 800 nanometers, and deuterium lamp produces polychromatic radiations which are in the UV region, that is from 200 to 400 nanometers. Right. And next, in this particular topic, you need to know some basic informations regarding some definitions. Right. Let us suppose this is a substance in the liquid form is taken in a cell, or also called as cuvette. Cuvette. This is called as cuvette. So, I am taking some concentrated liquid like permanganate or dichromate. Now, I am sending the light radiations of intensity P naught. Of course, some of the light is absorbed by this solution which we took in this cuvette, and the remaining light is transmitted. So, here P naught is intensity of incident light, P means intensity of transmitted light. See here, this is what length of the cuvette, that is path length, and the concentration of the solution what we are taking, that is represented with the letter C. So, by taking consideration of these four alphabets, now we are going to study what is meant by transmittance, which are there in your syllabus. Transmittance means which is the ratio between intensity of light transmitted to the intensity of incident light. The light transmitted is represented with P. Incident light is represented with P naught. So that's why this is P by P naught. Suppose we want to tell that in terms of percentages, you need to multiply that with 100. Now coming to the absorbance. Absorbance is nothing but negative logarithm of transmittance. Means generally if more is the absorbance, transmittance is less, isn't it? So generally absorbance and this transmittance are in reverse relation, that is irreversible. So that's why absorbance is equal to minus log T. Already we know what is meant by T, that is P by P naught. By substituting that P by P naught, to remove this negative symbol, the fraction will get reverse, right? Now the next one is absorptivity or extinction coefficient. See, generally absorbance means how much of light is absorbed is always proportional to the path length. Similarly, the absorbance is always proportional to the concentration of liquid how much we are taking. So, if I combine these two, A is proportional to B as well as C. If I remove the proportionality constant, A is equal to ABC. So, that's why we got this relation. Okay, here this small a is called extinction coefficient. But one thing you need to remember that here C is expressed in terms of grams per liter. Suppose if you express that C in terms of moles per liter, A is replaced with the another alphabet, that is epsilon. So that's why which is called as molar extinction coefficient. Small a is called extinction coefficient where concentration is expressed in terms of grams per liter, but here epsilon is called as molar extinction coefficient because C is expressed in terms of moles per liter. Okay, so these are the basic definitions, and our next one is coming to the Lambert's law. I am not going into depth of this topic. Why? Because we already covered this Lambert's law and Beer's law in your photochemistry lesson. But what Lambert's law? Lambert's law says that the amount of light transmitted is always depends upon the path length. See, these diagrams will give a clear picture to you. So, if we send a light radiations of intensity P naught, this is the path length B. Compared to first figure, here the path length is increased. Again here the path length is much more increased. So see here, what is the intensity of light radiation? Just a minute. Yes. How much is the light intensity of transmitted light? Half. Half of the light is transmitted. If you observe here, 1/4 of light is transmitted. If you observe here, 1/8 part of light is transmitted. So as the path length increases, amount of light transmitted is decreasing. So that's why Lambert's law says us that the amount of light transmitted is always depends upon the path length. Okay, so that we are showing like this. The transmittance is decreasing, isn't it? So the transmittance is decreasing is always proportional to what? B. So by removing that one, minus log T is equal to AB, right? Next, Beer's law. Beer's law says that the amount of light transmitted always depends upon the concentration. Again, these diagrams will give a clear picture to you. So if you observe this first diagram, here which is a little bit dilute solution. So how much of light is transmitted? Half. I am taking more concentrated solution, so amount of light transmitted is 1/4. Still more concentrated solution I took, the amount of light transmitted is much more decreased. So that's why here the negative logarithm of T is proportional to concentration. By removing that proportionality constant, we are putting A. But here this is what, which is Beer-Lambert's law, means which is a combination of both, isn't it? So the amount of light observed will depends upon path length as well as concentration. So that's why A is equal to ABC. Up to this I am telling in terms of minus log T. Minus log T is nothing but absorbance, right? So A is equal to ABC. C. Okay, so these are the basic definitions regarding this particular chapter. Okay, next we need to know what is the colorimetry experiment, and the next what is spectrophotometer, those one. So this is the block diagram of the colorimetry experiment. There is a source. What is the source here? See, the name itself is colorimeter. Colorimeter means we are studying the compounds which are colored. Colored means what? We are studying using the light radiations which are in the visible range. Only visible light radiations only studied in this colorimetry experiment. Okay, right. So here this is the radiation source. See, tungsten lamp. Tungsten lamp means visible light radiations are coming. This is what? Filter. So filter means here filter will give particular wavelength. Generally visible radiations are between 400 to 800 nanometers. This filter will be like this: 45, 48, 52, 56, 62, 68, 72, like this. This particular wavelength is already fixed in this filters. Now by switching, like it will be like as a switch. If you turn that particular wavelength, that wavelength is observed by the sample. Some light is observed and some light is transmitted, which is noted by the detector, and finally we are reading that by using a readout. Okay, so here the cell what we are taking is made up of with Pyrex glass, because for visible radiations we need to use the cuvette which is made up of with Pyrex glass. Okay, right. Now coming to this spectrophotometry. In this spectrophotometry, you may use either tungsten lamp or deuterium lamp. That is the major difference between colorimetry and spectrophotometry. And in spectrophotometry, we are using monochromators. That part I am showing here, because spectrophotometry is again divided into two types: single beam spectrophotometer and double beam spectrophotometer. Here the source in single beam spectrophotometer, the source is tungsten lamp passed through the slit. Here it is a monochromator. If you observe carefully, in this colorimeter we are using filters, means already that wavelength is fixed in the filters. Okay, whenever you are purchasing this instrument from outside, already that filters are fixed by the company, means that particular wavelengths which are given by the made, already those are made. You are not placing any other wavelength than that. Suppose if you want to do the experiment between 45 to 48, that is 47, there is no chance. Okay, but here in spectrophotometer, because you are using a monochromator, between 400 to 800 nanometers, you may use any wavelength, right? The same is reference cell, that is cuvette, and detector and readout. The principle behind colorimetry as well as spectrophotometry is same. They need to follow Beer-Lambert's law. Okay, but here we are using filters, tungsten lamp, Pyrex glass, like this. Here you may use deuterium lamp or tungsten lamp. Instead of filters, you are using monochromator, like this. Okay, now next one is what? Double beam spectrophotometer. In the double beam spectrophotometer, you may use tungsten or deuterium lamp. This is monochromator, and the light radiations which are falling is falls upon a mirror. Here the beam splits into two ways. This is reference cell and this is sample cell, and finally which is detected by the detector. To get more intensified signal, we are placing amplifier here, and finally we are reading the signal. Okay, so suppose if you are using this deuterium lamp means you are estimating the compound using UV radiations, right? In such conditions, the cuvette is made up of with quartz. Okay, so here there are some differences. Common name is colorimetry. This is visible spectrophotometer, and this is UV visible spectrophotometer. Visible kabatti we are using only tungsten lamp, because it is only visible tungsten lamp. Because it is UV visible, you may go for tungsten or deuterium lamp. In the colorimetry we use only filters, but here we are using monochromators. Here also we are using monochromators. Okay. Comparative to these two, lambda max is a little bit where correct exact is not predicted by using colorimeter, because that wavelengths are prefixed in that filters. And next one is here the cell is made up of with pyrex glass. Here also pyrex glass, but here it may be pyrex or quartz. Pyrex glass is used when you are choosing visible radiations. Quartz glass is used when you are choosing UV radiations, right? And detection, photoelectric effect, and quantitative analysis, we use only colored solutions. Here also colored, and here you may go for colored or colorless solutions. Cost is very less, but here costs are more, little bit more and more. So this is the basic information what I want to say to you. So I just want to tell one more point. When we draw a graph between absorbance and concentration using this colorimetry experiments, colorimetry or spectrophotometry, whatever be that, as the concentration always depends upon the absorbance. As the concentration varies, absorbance readings will also vary. Always you need to get a straight line which passes through the origin when you draw a graph between absorbance and concentration. And there is one more graph I want to show to you, that is in Beer-Lambert's law. When you draw a graph between wavelength on x-axis and absorbance on y-axis, you will get a graph like this. Here this is what lambda max means. From 400 to this is about 490 nanometers. The absorbance readings are increasing, but later on after 490 nanometers the absorbance readings are coming down and down. Okay, so the first we will get the graph like this, and the second graph we will get like this. Okay, so these are the two different graphs, but sometimes there is a chance that this does not obey Beer-Lambert's law, means the graph will come like this. Little bit deviations will also happen. How we will get this deviations? Deviations can be due to chemical deviations or maybe instrumental deviations. Chemical deviations means sometimes the liquid may undergo coagulation or may undergo precipitation, or it may undergo association or dissociations like that. So in such conditions Beer-Lambert's law is not at all obeyed. Okay, and here in this instrumental deviations, Beer-Lambert's law is not obeyed. Sometimes you may use, instead of pyrex glass, suppose if you go for quartz, or suppose the instrument is not cleaned properly. Generally electric instruments, you need to maintain that instrument. After 1 month or 2 months you need to give that instrument to the service, so that if there is any dust falls upon the filters, that person will remove that dust, and again by cleaning that filters again he will replaces that one. Okay, so because of these deviations sometimes Beer-Lambert's law is not obeyed. Okay, so this is the basic introduction, not introduction, this is the brief explanation of this colorimetry as well as spectrophotometry. So in my next video I will explain what is about IR basics and IR spectrophotometer as well as FTIR spectrophotometer, and how we are going to estimate iron in thiocyanate as well as manganese in steel.